When a child vanishes, the focus naturally shifts to the perimeter of the community. We imagine a predator lurking just beyond the streetlight. Investigators often find that physical evidence and the logical timeline of a disappearance refuse to support the theory of an outside threat. The hard data of the crime suggests a different source of conflict entirely. We will examine 3 cases where timelines and identities were deliberately manipulated. In each instance, the obstruction came from within: toxic family dynamics and a coordinated wall of silence designed to protect a killer. Family loyalty and shared secrets are capable of masking the true threat, shielding a predator from scrutiny, even when they sit in plain sight at the dinner table. In 1986, high school senior Sharon Marshall planned to study aerospace engineering on a full scholarship. Her plans collapsed when a hidden pregnancy forced her to give up her baby for adoption. Immediately following this, she moved to Florida with a much older man named Franklin Delano Floyd. The next few years were chaotic. Sharon had another son, Michael, and stayed with Frank. Then, her close friend Cheryl Camesso vanished after a public fight with him. Shortly after, Sharon was found unconscious on the side of a highway, the victim of an apparent hit-and-run. Within days, she was dead. The fabrication began to fail when Frank tried to cash in on an $80,000 life insurance policy he had taken out on Sharon. He provided the insurance company with several fake Social Security numbers, eventually forcing authorities to uncover his real identity. That name exposed a decades-long criminal history. When DNA testing revealed Frank was not Michael's biological father, Frank kidnapped the boy from school. Months later, a mechanic bought a stolen truck tied to Frank and found a hidden envelope. It contained photos of a bound Cheryl Camesso and older, disturbing images of a young girl. Those older images exposed the darkest layer of the lie. Sharon Marshall was actually Suzanne Savarkis. She was Frank's stepdaughter. He had kidnapped her as a child, raised her under fake names, relentlessly abused her, and claimed her as his wife. Frank Floyd used extreme isolation to engineer a completely false family history. By controlling every aspect of Suzanne's environment, he managed to hide a kidnapping victim in plain sight for nearly 20 years. In the early 1980s, Jean-Marie and Christine Villemin were living a successful life in eastern France with their young son, Gregory. Their peace was interrupted by years of anonymous phone calls and letters from a figure promising revenge, a stalker the press later dubbed the Crow. The threats peaked on October 16, 1984. 4-year-old Gregory was taken from his yard. Hours later, his body was discovered bound and drowned in the freezing waters of the Villemin River, barely 7 kilometers from his home. The investigation was defined by uncertainty. A teenage relative initially implicated Jean-Marie's cousin, Bernard LaRoche, only to retract her statement. Then handwriting experts focused on Gregory's mother, Christine, suggesting she wrote the letters. Frustrated, Jean-Marie took matters into his own hands. In 1985, he approached Bernard and shot him. The truth remains trapped behind family lines. In 2017, police arrested several of Gregory's extended relatives based on new evidence. They were met with absolute silence. The suspects refused to speak to authorities, effectively freezing the investigation. Investigators believe deeply rooted jealousy within the family was the catalyst for the murder. That resentment forged an unbreakable code of silence, protecting a child's killer from the law. In 1994, 13-year-old Nicholas Barclay vanished from his home in San Antonio. After he missed a court hearing, police initially assumed he had run away. 3 years later, the family received a miraculous report. Nicholas had supposedly been found thousands of miles away, claiming to have escaped a trafficking ring in Linares, Maine. The boy who returned to Texas was physically unrecognizable. Nicholas was blonde with blue eyes. This young man had dark hair, brown eyes, mismatched ears, and a thick French accent. He claimed his captors had chemically altered his features and eye color to hide his identity. 5 months after his return, the FBI intervened. Fingerprints and DNA tests confirmed the family was living with an imposter, a 23-year-old French con artist named Frédéric Pierre Bourdain. The Barclays defended the imposter even after he confessed in court. Frederick later claimed that Nicholas's sister, Carrie, had actually coached him, feeding him personal family details to help him pass the initial police interviews in Spain. A suspicious phone call made by Nicholas's brother, Jason, 3 months after the disappearance, led investigators to a different theory. They suspect Jason murdered Nicholas, and the family willingly embraced a blatant imposter to officially resolve the case and bury the evidence. The acceptance of a clear imposter served as a coordinated cover-up, allowing the Barkleys to shield a murderer within their own home. These cases show the escalating power of a compromised home, from the total isolation used by Frank Floyd to the passive silence of the Villemins and the active coaching of an imposter by the Barkleys. Modern forensics can reconstruct timelines and decode DNA, but these tools fail when a family actively sabotages the investigation from the inside. The most shocking twists in true crime occur when the people expected to protect a victim instead work together to bury the truth.